Good evening, everyone. It's so good to see so many people. And I looked around and I said, how did we get this group of people in the room? And Sister Katie told me that wherever Sister Deborah goes to church, she grabs everyone. So looks like she's been making a tour of the churches around the street. Very good, Brother. That's excellent. And also, I'd like to make note that Sister Katie Claus, the president of the IHM Sisters, is also here this evening. Sister Katie is a member of the board as well. So, Jake called me, and he said, Sister, you have to speak for 3 minutes. I thought, oh, God. I'm going to speak for 3 minutes of my whole life. So, tell a story in 3 minutes. So I said, okay. And then I was looking through social media the other day. Keynote speaker, Sister Mary Persico. So it must be more than 3 minutes. And so then I wrote to Sister Darbo. I said, what am I supposed to do? She said, do whatever you want. So I don't know what to do. So I just wing it, okay? But we had stories at dinner. They were amazing. They were far better than the stories that you're going to hear tonight, probably. But when Stacy introduced Sister Darbo as our fearless leader, she had no clue what she was talking about. At dinner, Sister Darbo was explaining to us how she and her brother stole eggs from crocodiles. Now that's fearless. So true words really spoken. I'm going to tell, I will tell some stories about ASEC, starting from the very beginning and then to the recent past, okay? So I'm just going to tell 3 of those stories. The first goes back to the 1990s, the late 1990s. At the time, Sister Mary Reed was the president of Mary Reed University. Some of you, probably many of you know her. And Sister Ann Kamene was the president of Mary Reed University. And those 2 sisters are 2 of the founding members of ASEC. And we will forever be indebted to them and the other 6 sisters who were the founding members. And I see some IHM sisters in the room, and you will remember that way back then, we had living, and we also do today, but for different reasons, we had living in the IHM Center many African sisters. And they were here because they were studying at Mary Reed University. And there were also sisters, we come to find out, who were studying at Chestnut Hill, who were studying at Newman, who were studying at Rosemont, the 4 founding organizations. And so one day, in the late 1990s, Sister Mary Reed was at the IHM Center talking to Sister Ann, and I ran into them, and they said, we're talking about educating sisters in Africa. And I said, well, we already educate sisters from Africa. She said, no, I didn't say from Africa, I said in Africa. I said, okay. So, talk about big ideas. We're talking about big ideas today. Come to find out they were talking about getting a coalition together, a coalition of sisters, leaders in religious congregations and universities to figure out a way to educate sisters in Africa, not from Africa, in Africa. So they formed a committee. And I remember I was part of the committee. I was happy to be part of the committee. And I remember we met at Marywood, we met at the IHM Center, we met at Chestnut Hill, we met at all of those different places over a period of several years. And we talked about every possible aspect of this process. And I would come home from those meetings and think, this is never going to happen. How can this happen? This is just a wild idea. But they kept talking and kept talking. And I'll never forget this because it got to be a joke. There was a sister there, and every single meeting she said, we should call Oprah Winfrey. She'll give us the money. We always figured out, we could figure out the curricula, we could figure out, all the other logistics and how to organize things. We couldn't figure out where to get the money. So it always came up, let's call Oprah Winfrey. the next person always said was the immediate thing that was said after let's call Oprah Winfrey. Well, I know Queen Latifah's mother. She was a school teacher in North Jersey, and she taught with my, brother-in-law's sister, and she could call her and tell her to call Queen Latifah, and she'll give us the money. And then the third sister always said, well, I know Tim Russert. I could call him. So this went on for months and months and even years. So every time we got together, well, did anyone reach out for Winfrey? No. Called her, we never get an answer. Did anyone ever get in touch with Queen Latifah's mother? No. How about Tim Russert? No. Didn't work. So this went on for a very long time. But ultimately, and I'm sorry she left, Angelique, ultimately, we got sane, and we wrote to the Hilton Sisters Foundation, and they responded. And ultimately, as you know, the Hilton Foundation, the Hilton Sisters, helped us with this project. And so we didn't need Oprah, and we didn't need Queen Latifah, and God bless Tim Russert instead. But we're very happy for the Hilton Foundation and the way they continue to support us. So that's part one. That's very, very beginning. Then moved to 2009, and Sister Lisa, whom Sister Faru mentioned, went to Africa to work in the SLDI program and to help the sisters set up their computers. They had computers from Hewlett Packard, and one of the members of our committee, Ann Henry, who was a board member at Marywood, worked for Hewlett Packard. She was the vice president, and she had all kinds of computers sent down to Nigeria, where one of the first labs was set up for the sisters. So they kept bugging me. We would go down and teach a course. I remember Sister Gail Cabral. Is Sister Gail here? Sister Gail, I could tell her, I was mentioning this. Sister Gail went down one summer, and she taught a portion of the SLDI program, and then said, you should go, it's great, you'll love it. And so I decided, okay, I'll do that. So I went down with my mosquito netting. I still have it if you need some. With my mosquito repellent, with my malaria shots. And one of the funny parts of the story is I was telling this at lunch today. I arrived in the airport there at 4 o'clock in the morning. And this is a very unusual thing, extremely unusual, what I'm going to tell you. But the sister who was supposed to pick me up overslept. So now I'm in this, at the time it was, but it isn't anymore, a dilapidated airport in Nigeria at 4 in the morning. It's still dark, and no cell phones, right? Not back then, or at least I didn't have one. And what am I going to do now? And I waited, and waited, and waited, and now I'm getting nervous, and now I'm saying I'm going to kill Sister Gail. I'll never go home, I'll never get home, I'm going to die here. And this very tall gentleman came up to me, and he said, Sister, how can I help you? I said, why did you call me sister? I don't look like a sister. We call everybody sister. I sort of, oh, okay. And God bless him. He stayed with me for 2 hours. He just sat there and talked to me. And at one point he said, you want a cup of coffee? I said, yes. He actually went somewhere. I don't know where. He came back with a cup of coffee. But it was my introduction to the wonderful people of Africa. You can't find nicer people in the world. But he stayed with me until Sister finally came, and she was all trying to get her clothes on, saying, I'm sorry, I overslept. And then we went to the place where we had the classes. And talk about challenges. Here I was, I had all my PowerPoint presentations ready, all my lessons, everything ready to go. And first day of class, turn on the PowerPoint. start teaching. There were 20 sisters in the class. I'll never forget it. There were 2 missing on the first day. And I said, does anybody know what they are? And they said, yeah, they're malaria. I said, they were what? They're malaria. I said, oh no, I'm never going to get out of this country. I said, malaria? I used to think that if you had malaria, you were next to dead. And they said, they'll be back tomorrow. So they came back, how was your malaria? It's over. So anyway, we start the class. It's about 10 minutes into it. I'm like, this is great. Now I'm teaching my class here. All of a sudden, all the electricity goes off. Dead. What happened? Oh, don't worry about it, sister. The electricity goes off all the time. I said, all the time? Yeah, all the time. But why does it go off? The government shuts it off. I said, the government shuts it off? Yeah. They said, well, when do they shut it off? Whenever they feel like it. And so it was a real lesson. I was there for almost a month. And the electricity would go off maybe in the middle of dinner, but it was dark when you were eating dinner. So they had candles all around in preparation for when the lights would go off. And this is the thing. We were talking about creativity. This was the thing that blew my mind. I would give the sisters an assignment, and at 7 o'clock in the evening, all the lights would go off on some evenings. And they couldn't see to do their assignments. Well, they couldn't use their computers that they had received from us. And the next day they'd come and they'd have their assignments done. I said, how'd you do that? They would leave the light switches on. And when the electricity went back on, if it would be 2:30 in the morning, they get up and they do their assignments. Because they were so committed to that. And they were so yearning for that education that to us was just second nature. And to them, it was the world. And I learned from them how creative they could really be when they wanted something. In fact, they did that with their whole lives. You know, if the lights went back on at 3 in the morning, they would get up and do some of the things, not just studying, but some of the other things that they had to do around the place. So they were extremely creative, and they were really committed to their lifestyle, to their life as sisters, and to this education that was being brought to them. So I had great admiration for the Nigerian people. And my third story, did I exceed my 3 minutes, Jake? My third story is about 2019, when I was invited. I was humbled by this, invited by Sister Joru to go to the graduation at the University of East Africa in Nairobi, and to give the commencement address. And so I went there, and I really got scared when I got there because I found out there were 6,000 graduates. But the thing that happened before that was Sister Lena, I'm sorry, Sister Lena's not here. She was supposed to be here. She took such good care of me. But she said to me the first day I was there, I'm going to take you to see all the ASEC students, all the students who were being educated to get their masters and their bachelors and their doctorates. She said, they want to meet you. So I thought, well, this will be nice. She took me into this auditorium. The place was filled with sisters, and they were all learning they were all studying to get their degrees, and it was all because of ASEC. It was one of the most touching moments of my life. I couldn't believe it. I said, you know, Oprah Winfrey was really stupid. It was a moment like Anna at the temple, like I can die in peace now because I have seen this. And I have to say that as I said, was a very touching moment because I saw the fruits of the labors of all the sisters, you know. the founding mothers, the founding sisters, and everyone else who worked to make this work from the very beginning. And so then at the graduation, as they came up and received their diplomas from the bishop or from the president of the university, I was sitting right there, and it was just a very, very touching moment for me. I'll never forget it. So I thank you for that opportunity. So I know I'm not supposed to be asking you to make a contribution, but I'm sure Sister Draru wouldn't mind. You know, the Hilton Foundation has put a little challenge out to us. And they said, if you raise $3 million, or half of $3 million, we will match you 1.5. Is that right?
Yes.
That's right. So we have to raise half of $3 million, and we're going to get $3 million from them. Is that right? Yes. But we're not there yet. Okay. But we're getting there. We're halfway to halfway. So if ever you could think to make a contribution to this wonderful organization, you would help us to get there. And I'm going to tell you, it's worth it. You heard how many people are touched by that. I was saying this today at the meeting, and then I'm going to stop, Jake, I promise. In the 1800s, religious congregations of women were founded in the United States. And when all these congregations were founded, from the middle of the 1800s into the 1900s, women religious began to be educated. The result of that was all the Catholic educational institutions in this country, from grade school, from even before grade school, up through higher education. Places like Chestnut Hill and Rosemont and Newman and Merriman and beyond. Sisters built Catholic education in this country. And then they went to healthcare. All the healthcare systems in this country that are Catholic, the sisters did that. And then the social work programs. The millions of social work programs across this country, founded by sisters. And what happened is, the Catholic sisters, never mind the church, never mind the priests, the Catholic sisters built these social structures in this country and throughout Europe from the middle of the 1800s until the present. That is what's happening in Africa today. These sisters are being educated, and they're going out and they're starting schools, and they're starting clinics, and they're building hospitals. And that was the other thing I saw when I was there in 2019. All the places they are now running that weren't there in 29 when I was there. So this is a wonderful work. What an idea that was born right here, right here. What an idea. So in any way that you can help, by your prayers, by talking about it, by telling the next people in church to come to things like this, and any of your financial contributions, it would be so well used. So thank you for listening to my 3 minutes of stories.
Hello, everyone. So I come from Chestnut Hill College to speak to you today, and I'm very honored to share my story of inspiration and creativity during my unforgetting experience with the African Sisters Education Collaborative. I had the opportunity to travel to Ghana in 2019, where I taught and connected with the incredible students at the Cornella Connolly School of the Holy Child of Jesus. During our time together, I witnessed firsthand the transformative power of our creativity and education that flourishes within each and every one of us. One of the particular moments that stands out to me, which I'd like to share, is we were spending time engaging in activities like playing Uno and sharing our stories when they surprised us with a beautifully handmade card. This simple yet heartfelt gesture spoke volumes about the power of creativity that bridges our cultural divides and forges connections regardless of language or distance. Additionally, I was deeply moved by the generosity and creativity of one of the students who joined us on the trip, visiting the residents and students at the Padre Pio unit. She brought with her a guitar to share her musical talents, and as she played her beautiful melodies, she brought smiles to the faces of everyone around her, which demonstrated the universal language of music as a powerful tool for connection and expression. Through these experiences, I was reminded that creativity knows no bounds. It is a universal language that speaks to the essence of our shared human experience. My experience with ASEC taught me that creativity is not only merely confined to the realm of art or innovation, it is a mindset. It's a way of approaching the world with openness and imagination. It's about embracing challenges as opportunities for growth, for thinking outside of the box, and for daring to dream big. As we continue our journey with ASEC, let us harness the power of creativity to inspire positive change in our communities and beyond. Let us cultivate an environment where innovation thrives, where diverse perspectives are celebrated, and where individuality is empowered and unleashed to our full potential. In closing, I would like to express my deepest gratitude towards ASEC for providing me this experience through Chestnut Hill College to experience creativity and education firsthand. May we continue to work together to empower our future generations of leaders, our innovators and change makers that are all fueled by the boundless power of creativity.
When I was a young girl, growing up, I really wanted to be a Catholic sister so that I can be able to help as many people as possible. Decades later, I am a Catholic sister, and I find myself surrounded by so many people who require my help in one way or the other. About 3 months ago, I met someone, a middle-aged man, a father of 4, who had suffered a kerosene stove explosion accident a year ago, and that had made him to be hospitalized for close to 7 months. During this time, his family suffered a lot. Being the only breadwinner, he had lost his job, and his wife had to be by his side to nurse him. His children were sent out of school, and the survival of his family was threatened. He came to our office seeking help to find food for his children, seeking support to be able to educate his children as well, and seeking support to find medical help to continue nursing his wounds. He also sought help for guidance and counseling for his daughter, who was dealing with complexities of adolescence. Listening to his story, I got nervous. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. But when I looked at his eyes, he had a lot of hope in me. In me, he had found his God, and he was sure that I was going to provide solutions for his problems. I didn't know what to tell him, and I was very sure that I didn't have solutions for his problems. I documented this case, and I promised to call him back after some time. He left our offices full of hope, but I was devastated because I knew very well that I didn't have any solution. The project that I work in serves people affected and infected with HIV and AIDS, and therefore I was very sure that he stood no chance of any considerations. After praying about this case, I decided to share it among my networks. I shared it with my friends and colleagues. Never underestimate the power of linkages and networks. Within a period of 2 weeks, there was so much light at the end of the tunnel. Arrangements were made, people made other connections, and within a period of 1 month, someone's case was already being solved. A sponsor had been found, and the girl who is in secondary school was transferred to a boarding school in Nairobi under full scholarship. The 2 boys who were in the junior secondary were also supported to get uniform, books, and other school accessories and resumed school. Another NGO offered to provide food for Samuel and his family, and they were enrolled for monthly food packages. They are able to receive food every other month, and that helps them to survive. The wife of Samuel was also enrolled for skills training, where she is being supported to obtain soft skills that she can be able to use to engage in income generating activities in the future, and that assures the livelihood of the family. On the other hand, I was able to get in touch with Samuel's daughter, who was having difficulties because of adolescence, and I am journeying with her, providing mentorship and just helping her to be able to find her identity and to stabilize in life. Samuel's family was able to find their footing once again, and the dust has settled in their family. Their story has changed from a story of despair and desperation to a story of hope and resilience. As an alumnus of ASEC, I attribute my capacity and my ability to effectively initiate social change through the empowerment that I have received through ASEC. ASEC has empowered me and mentored me to be able to fit professionally in the job market. The capacity to be able to communicate effectively, the capacity to be able to design projects, assess needs, mobilize resources, establish networks and maintain and build relationships, the capacity to be able to provide leadership and guidance. These are skills that I have learned, and I confidently attribute them to the impact that ASEC has had in my life. Just like Samuel, many people can be touched and their lives improved by the empowerment of sisters. Anytime that we invest in ASEC, we are investing not only in education, but in the transformative power of empowered Catholic sisters.
Thank you very much. So I'll start. In the African storytelling system, you sing in between the stories. But then I couldn't have a song in our own language because I just want you to know what I'm singing about. So I'll start. My story is almost like the story of the sister that previously spoke. And that shows us that the stories of Africa are the same. Our lamentations are the same, almost. So my story is called Come and See. And so the song goes like this. Come and see what the Lord has done. 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 Come and see her. Come and see. Come and see her. Come and see. Come and see what the Lord has done. Come and see what the Lord has done. That goes for every sharing that has gone on in this room. Now, my story also starts from when I was a younger sister. When I was a younger sister, I had to leave my home place because I come from one part of the country while I'm serving in another part of the country. So I see myself as a missionary to those people within the country. Now, when I moved there, I had to struggle. I had to struggle to learn the language of those people. I had to struggle to learn to eat the food. You might think, oh, it's Africa, they must be eating the same things. But then they had a whole different diet altogether. And I remember the humility and the struggle that I went through trying to learn that. But it was at that same time that I met this young girl called Twambo. And Twambo and her mother were living in abject poverty. Because Twambo had just dropped out of school, she had qualified to go to the 10th grade. In my country, when somebody goes to the 10th grade, it means there's hope at the end of the tunnel. They are moving towards the higher grades that will see them to tertiary education and so on. But then Twambo had dropped off, and every morning she went with the mother on the road because their father had died from HIV. So they sat on the roadside and sold bits and pieces of things, sometimes not selling anything. But what struck me was each time I passed there, I got a habit of going there. Tombo was sitting with her books on the roadside, pieces of paper, you know, should be writing this and this. So she shared the story with me that she had dropped out of school and she was hoping she would go back when they had sold enough money for her to go back to school. So it was at that time, even at my younger age, that I felt there must be something to be done, you know? And I could feel that really cemented in myself that desire to see that somebody moves out of poverty and somebody moves out of ignorance. And I could see that education would be the answer for this family. Because they were sitting there because when the father of Twambo died, the inheritance laws took away everything they had. And I was saying to myself, if the mother had an education that would give her probably a job, maybe she wouldn't be sitting on the roadside. So I felt to myself there was not to do something concrete for Twambo, to install a hope to the mother and the girl herself. So I approached one of the Jesuits in the parish because they were working in a very big parish, and told them the story, and they said, oh, there's a woman who only has one child, and that woman is always looking for young people to sponsor. So there was that connection made. Twambo went back to school in grade 10, and when she paid, actually, she said she was going to pay for the whole 3 years of higher education, the secondary education. So when Twambo came to grade 12, she performed so well that she went into university and they gave her a government scholarship, 100%. I'm talking to you now. Twambo is a lecturer in the University of Zambia. And that's why I just felt, come and see what the Lord has done. And when I look back on that, when I was asked that I give the story, I actually started reflecting. The sisters, this is the story of the sisters. This is the struggle of the sisters. Because the sisters come from those same poverty-stricken homes. The majority of our sisters come from those poverty-stricken homes. And it was a matter of picking up Twambo to another level. And so what I've seen is that what ASEC is doing is actually picking up from where the family left. I have had the privilege of moving in the countries in the region and seeing what is happening. I was really touched when I was in Tanzania, and there are sisters from Tanzania here. There are huge scores of sisters going back to secondary education. And the sisters are very, very delighted about that. And I have lived in Tanzania with the sisters in between times, and it has just given them the voice. Most of the Tanzanian culture is very timid. They don't speak for themselves, you know. Maybe they work in the press houses and in the garden and all that. But this education that is being given by ASEC, from what I have seen and touched and spoken with the sisters, it's just given, they have reclaimed their voice. They are reclaiming their voice. and so they can't be worked on anymore. So we are grateful for that, and I'm grateful for that. And I keep saying, come and see what the Lord has done. So, and the other thing is, myself, I have many stories. I am also a beneficiary of the institutional capacity building given by ASEC in the leadership capacity building. I remember when I was just elected to be a superior in my congregation, I had no clue. I felt so inadequate. Not that I feel adequate now, but it was worse than now. And I remember it was one of the times Sister Claru came and she was addressing us. What can we do for the superiors? And I was the first one to put up my hand because I was feeling what I felt inside. I said, Sister, we are sending all our young sisters to be given SLGI and to be capacity built in technology. Is there something that can be done for us also as leaders to give us the skills, the leadership skills that we need? Because if as a leader, I don't have the soft skills, the other leadership skills that I need, I can kill the whole congregation. Because it's about the mind, you know. So that's how we got trained. We got trained in leadership skills. We got trained in technology. I didn't have, I hadn't really used the computer so much by that time, but I was told as a superior general, there are things that you can't let other people see because you have, the stories of the sisters as a private thing. So from that training in technology, I really got exposed to technology, and it gave me some confidence. And the other thing I appreciated, and which we appreciated as leaders at that time, was the bringing us together. This bringing us together has helped us build networks, relationships of trust. We are not competing with each other. We want to learn from each other. So that also increases our impact as sisters. So that has been really, really appreciated. Then, the general thing I want to say now is, I have had the privilege to move around the region, the Quaker region. This is about 600 congregations plus and 30,000 sisters plus. Sisters are the people that go to the back of the beyond. They go to the margins. They go to where other people don't go. And therefore, when sisters are educated, they are helped to change minds. They are helped to see opportunities for other people, to speak for other people. Suddenly, we have this voice that we are being given to be able to get involved. You can even hear the conversations when we have them in our meetings, the way the people converse. They converse like enlightened people. And this is because of ASEC. And even I've heard stories before that, sister, the superiors don't like to send their sisters to school because they are afraid that maybe when they go to school they won't come back. I think that is history, because we all know that when our sisters are enlightened, then we can change a lot of mindsets of other people. We can lead them to better things. And I have seen that, and it is attested to in the Apeka region among all the majority of the sisters that I have visited. And for those people like who don't have that program, they are always saying, when is it coming to us? Zimbabwe is an associate member in our association, and they've always been asking, and we didn't have the answer for them. So we are really grateful that it has been thought of. Otherwise, thank you very much for all those, for all of you, our mothers, the founding mothers and the mothers we have now, for all the work that is put in for us. It is a great legacy that you are leaving for us. You have really stamped your foot on the African earth, and it will remain deeply etched in our hearts, and not only us, but even in our, some people would say in our children's children, but in the sisters that are coming later on. Because from the education that we are getting, we are building a sustainable future for them. So thank you very much. Thank you.